The night was not just a passage of time, it was a wound torn open across the fabric of your reality. While you slept, the veil unraveled behind you, dripping with truths too raw to touch, too heavy to name. Everyone but you saw it, the moment they crossed the line, the betrayal inked in silence, the echo of footsteps that were never meant to return. Their voice still lingers in your memory like a thread of gold, but gold that has tarnished, twisted into something jagged and cold. You replay what they said, but it doesn't line up with the weight in your chest or the vision swelling behind your eyes. The person you love, the one you defended through thunder and thorns, has buried something sacred in the ground and locked you out of the burial rites. The air around you carries the scent of smoke, though no fire is seen, it is the burning of your own spirit realizing it has been blindfolded and spun. Something was taken from you last night, not a possession, not a moment, but a sacred promise. And in its place, the truth stands like a shadow figure at the foot of your bed, waiting for you to acknowledge it. God says the illusion has expired, and the spirit world has ceased to protect your ignorance. Your soul was never meant to serve a lie, no matter how beautiful the voice that spoke it. Even now, the betrayal echoes across dimensions, rattling the bones of angels assigned to guard you. Archangel Micheal says you've been marked for something far greater than this heartbreak, but you cannot be anointed while clinging to a poisoned vine. Last night was not ordinary, it was a divine checkpoint, a spiritual detonation disguised as human weakness. They knew exactly what they were doing, and worse, they knew you would forgive it if you ever found out. You feel it now, don't you? The way the atmosphere trembles when you think about them. The subtle shift in your gut that's no longer nervousness but holy discernment awakening under pressure. This is your soul remembering what was stolen while you weren't watching. Their smile will not confess. Their words will not shatter. But the betrayal is already alive in your cells, and no performance of love can sedate the knowing growing inside your bones. You were chosen to see it, even if no one tells you. Even if they look you in the eye and swear on the heavens they never strayed. What they did was not just an act, it was an invitation to darkness, and they answered. The moment it happened, your name trembled in the mouth of the divine, and every spirit that walks with you turned their face toward battle. The moon trembled behind torn clouds because even it could not bear the weight of the secret. The stars recoiled slightly in their orbits. And the silence in your room turned heavy as a shroud, wrapping around your body like an omen. Archangel Micheal says, "You are not crazy." The twisting in your heart, the sleepless pulse in your veins, the way your dreams feel hijacked, this is not your imagination. It is the holy stirring of a child of light waking up in enemy territory. Do not underestimate the weight of this night. It will not vanish with time, because time cannot digest what was never supposed to be swallowed. It will either be alchemized or rot in your spirit, and you, beloved, are not meant to rot. You've asked to be strong, to be awakened, to be aligned with divine will. And this is how it begins, not with comfort, but with collapse. Not with gentle signs, but with roaring silence, the kind that demands you stop explaining away your intuition. God says, the betrayal was not hidden from heaven. The courts above are not passive observers to your pain, they are preparing judgment. But judgment begins in your own house, in your own body, in your own unwillingness to keep pretending you didn't see what you saw. Look again. Look at how they flinch when you ask certain things. How their rhythm shifted last night, how their touch feels like a script now. Something changed. And deep in the bones of your knowing, you can feel the shape of it. They were somewhere they should not have been. Doing something they promised never to do. And though their lips are sealed by shame or cowardice or pride, the air around them drips with spiritual residue that cannot be wiped away. This is not just heartbreak. This is initiation. The veil shatters not to punish, but to prepare. You are being called beyond illusions, into the fire where only truth survives. You can stay and pretend. Or you can rise and remember. But you cannot do both. The air shifted when the sun fell, quietly, like a predator crawling into position. You thought it was just another night, but the spirits around you held their breath, waiting for the rupture. You didn't see it, but the sky cracked open above your name, and the moon, trembling behind torn clouds, bore witness to a covenant breaking beneath your feet. The moment passed like any other, text messages unreturned, their silence explained away with hollow smiles. But the divine realm doesn't move by words. It moves by vibration. And last night, their vibration changed. They gave something away that did not belong to them. Something that was once sacred, offered to you in whispered promises, was given instead to a place of shadows and convenience. Your soul felt it. You reached for peace in your sleep and found instead a trembling thread unraveling from your spirit. This wasn't just disloyalty, it was spiritual vandalism. They entered a space where your name had been spoken in love, and left it smeared with deceit. Archangel Micheal says, when the moon trembles, the divine is warning you. This is not ordinary. This is not fixable with talk or tears. This is a signal that the path you were walking has split, and one road now leads into ruin, the other into transformation that will break you to rebuild you. You saw it in your dream, the cold corridor, the door ajar, the figures moving just out of reach. That was not imagination. That was the spirit world showing you what the waking world refuses to admit. Their betrayal took form and came to you cloaked in symbols, because your soul already knows what your heart still begs to unsee. They kissed someone last night. Or maybe more. Maybe it wasn't just physical. Maybe it was emotional treason wrapped in laughter, a stolen gaze across a table not meant for your memory. Whatever form it took, it was real. And the universe has no tolerance for those who tread on chosen hearts without consequence. You've been praying for truth, haven't you? Asking to be aligned with your highest path. That prayer summoned this storm. Not as punishment, but as purification. Because you cannot walk in divine purpose shackled to someone who dances with shadows behind your back. God says, betrayal has never been just about people, it's about energy, allegiance, and altars. What was done last night didn't just harm your heart, it desecrated the altar you built in their name. And now heaven must cleanse what has been defiled. Look at them now. How their voice has a slight tremble beneath the surface. How their eyes avoid the parts of you that shine. How they touch you with practiced grace, as if trying to overwrite guilt with routine. They know. And they are hoping your love will save them from accountability. But love without truth is not love, it's bondage. This is your wake-up call. The moon didn't hide its face last night. It shook violently behind torn clouds, releasing visions into the night that only the spiritually awake could feel. You are one of them, though you often forget. But your spirit did not forget. It screamed while you slept. It cried out while you dreamed. It tried to warn you through unease and flashes and the haunting sense that something was fundamentally different. You must stop explaining this away. Stop dressing your intuition in politeness. What you're feeling is divine alarm, not insecurity. And if you ignore it now, the next revelation will be worse. Because the soul is not meant to carry what it already knows and pretend it does not. Archangel Micheal says you are being watched, not by enemies, but by ancestors, angels, and the great cloud of witnesses who remember your sacred contract. They are waiting to see if you will reclaim your place or settle for the poison that comes in a familiar cup. You were not born for this kind of heartbreak. You were born for fire, for clarity, for love that doesn't hide in shadows. And right now, you are being forged. Every unanswered question, every subtle avoidance, every invisible bruise to your trust is a hammer striking your spirit's steel. Their betrayal is a mirror. It shows you not only who they are, but who you've been pretending not to be, a divine being tolerating what should have been rejected long ago. You wanted peace, but not at the cost of your truth. And now, the cost is due. God says, your destiny is too large to carry the weight of someone else's deception. You are trying to drag dead promises up a holy mountain. But the mountain will not permit the unclean to ascend. You must decide. Them or you. Illusion or truth. Heartbreak now or heartbreak forever. Do not ask them again. Do not beg for a confession. You already have it, in your bones, in the air, in the way their spirit stumbles next to yours now. The moon told you. The silence told you. Heaven told you. It's done. They think they've buried it, but the soil is shallow. What was done in secret is screaming now in the spiritual. The longer you stay silent, the more it burns you from the inside out. This is not just heartbreak, it is spiritual trespass. And trespass demands response. You have been too soft with this world. Too kind to those who mistake your mercy for blindness. But the divine is rising in you now. And the fire that trembles beneath your ribs is not rage, it's rebirth. Let the betrayal teach you. Let the moon's trembling burn the last threads of illusion. Let the clouds break open, and the truth flood you clean. They thought they could do this and still keep you. But heaven does not share what it has anointed. And you have been anointed, beloved, anointed for more than this. Your chest carries it now, the weight of what cannot be unseen, even if no eyes have witnessed it. A war has begun inside you, silent but brutal, where each heartbeat ricochets with grief, fury, and divine revelation. The betrayal has lodged itself between your ribs, and every breath is a negotiation between truth and the comfort of lies. You are being torn in two, not by them, but by what you're still trying to protect. The version of them you once loved is dying, but you keep resuscitating it with memories, with tenderness they no longer deserve. You speak gently to the ghost of who they were, even as their living self drips with what they did and refused to confess. God says, this is not punishment, it is purification. The holy must be made holy again, and that includes you. There is no elevation without the severance of what chains your wings to the ground. You feel unstable, like a mirror cracking behind your skin. It's not madness. It's divine awareness uncoiling in your soul. You are not breaking, you are shedding. What no longer fits, what no longer honors you, what no longer vibrates with your sacred resonance is being torn away. Archangel Micheal says your heart is under siege, and your greatest weapon is truth, sharp, radiant, uncompromising, but truth demands sacrifice. It asks you to lay down illusions like beloved children and watch them burn. It asks you to confront not only what they did but why you allowed your light to be dimmed for so long. The betrayal wasn't a single act, it was an unveiling of a pattern. Look back, not to dwell, but to gather evidence. How many times did you silence your intuition? How often did you feel the shift in their energy and explain it away with empathy you didn't owe them? You have been loyal to a fault. Forgiveness turned into enabling. Understanding became self-erasure, and still, you loved. That love was real. That's what makes this war so violent, because it's not just about them. It's about what you believed love meant. What you believed you had to endure to keep it. But love that requires blindness is not love, it's bondage masquerading as devotion. They didn't just betray you, they desecrated a sanctuary. And now your spirit is rising in defense of that sacred ground. You've been walking through this world half awake, clinging to people who cannot match your fire. But the veil has lifted, and there is no going back to sleep. The air around you is shifting. Even your skin knows. You flinch at their touch because your soul is recoiling. That is not weakness, it is divine discernment reactivating in your blood. They sense it, too. That you're changing. That something inside you is hardening, not in bitterness, but in divine clarity. The games won't work anymore. Their eyes search yours for the old softness, but find only thunder gathering behind your silence. God says, the time for self-betrayal has ended. You will either honor your knowing or suffer for ignoring it. This is your line in the sand, drawn not by vengeance but by sacred necessity. They wanted forgiveness without repentance. Presence without transparency. Love without loyalty. But you are not a vessel for their comfort anymore. You are a sword now, anointed to cut away what poisons your path. Archangel Micheal says, speak nothing. Wait for no confession. Their silence is their answer. Your spirit has already testified in the courts of heaven, and the verdict is clear, release must come. Whether it is release of them or release of who you were around them, something must die for you to live fully again. This is your rebirth. And birth is never clean. It is blood, and pain, and screaming silence. But it is sacred. The divine does not apologize for what it must do to bring you back to yourself. You keep reaching for moments that felt holy. The way they looked at you once. The way their arms felt like home. But those memories are no longer rooted in reality, they are relics from a temple that has crumbled. What remains is rubble, and you cannot rebuild what heaven has declared fallen. This is not just a heartbreak. This is a divine appointment with who you were always meant to become. They were a lesson, not a destination. A doorframe you were never meant to stay beneath. Feel the fury rising. Let it come. It is not bitterness, it is sacred heat, sent to cauterize your wounds. Let the grief unravel you. Let it scream. Let it purge you of every hope you had to bury in order to stay. You were never meant to be this small. You were never meant to be this silent. And the version of you who tolerated their shadows out of love is being called home, to light, to power, to self-resurrection. God says, you have two choices, grieve and rise, or grieve and repeat. One path will burn, but lead to transformation. The other will numb, but slowly rot you from within. You can't unsee what has been shown to your spirit. You can't unknow the spiritual fracture you walk on every day you pretend everything is fine. They didn't just betray you, they disrupted the flow of your purpose. And now the divine has intervened. No more negotiations. No more bargaining with ghosts. What's dead must be buried. And what's holy must be reclaimed. You are not being punished. You are being called back into your own divine authority. Let them go. Or be dragged into a life that will never feel like home again. The silence is deafening now, but it is not empty, it is charged, sacred, waiting for your choice. You have stood on the edge for too long, suspended between who you were and who you are becoming, and the divine will not wait forever. The moment of reckoning has arrived, not as wrath, but as a mirror held up by eternity. You know now. Not because they told you, not because you saw it with your eyes, but because your soul has stopped asking and started knowing. The betrayal is a living thing inside you, a parasite writhing under your ribs, and no amount of denial can numb its presence. Their silence was a spell, but that spell has broken, and in its place stands truth, naked and unflinching. Archangel Micheal says this is your crucible. The fire is not punishment, it is the place where the divine tempers gold. But you must step into it fully, without rescue fantasies, without hopes that they will change, confess, or clean the wound they created. They cannot be your healer. Not now. Not after what they chose when they thought you'd never know. You were not meant to remain chained to someone who treats your love like a convenience. Your spirit is sacred real estate, and they have built altars to dishonor on your holy ground. The longer you stay, the deeper the desecration. And you already feel it, how hard it's become to breathe, how heavy their presence now feels, how your own reflection seems to mourn something invisible. There is no saving what has already rotted. You've been holding a corpse of what you thought this love could be, dressing it in memories, perfuming it with hope. But decay cannot be masked forever. You either bury it, or it poisons everything you touch. God says, your prayers have not gone unanswered. This pain is not proof of abandonment, it is proof of divine intervention. You asked for truth. You asked to be aligned. And heaven, in mercy, tore the veil away, even though it would cost you everything you thought you wanted. You feel like you're losing, but you're not. This is victory disguised as devastation. Because what you're leaving behind is not love, it's illusion. What you're stepping into is not loneliness, it's liberation. The cost is high, but the reward is holy. They will try to return. Perhaps not now, perhaps not in words, but in energy. In the way their spirit clings to yours. In the dreams that carry their face. But they are not coming back to love you, they are coming back to reclaim the access they had. Do not open that door. Not this time. Archangel Micheal says, if you let them back in, you delay your destiny. If you tether yourself to this cycle once more, the next warning will come with fire that burns too much to bear. You are being spared more devastation than you can currently comprehend. You were always the light in this bond. You were always the faithful one. And they knew it. That's why they thought you'd never see it. That's why they thought they could return and find you waiting. But you are not who you were. And the door they walked through no longer exists. Your spirit has rebuilt itself in silence, in agony, in divine revelation. You are becoming untouchable, not from pride, but from consecration. You were never meant to beg for clarity. You were meant to radiate it. Let this be the end. Not the pause. Not the intermission. The end. Because only from ashes can the phoenix rise, and only from death can resurrection begin. God says, the next chapter requires your full obedience. No more half-love. No more clinging to potential. No more waiting for someone to become what your soul already knows they'll never be. They will never tell you the truth. Not fully. Not cleanly. But you don't need their confession. You already have the divine's. The truth has been spoken over you in dreams, in omens, in the ache that never goes quiet. And now, the final test, will you honor what heaven showed you, or will you trade your knowing for temporary warmth? This is the moment. Your crucible. The divine fire that either refines or consumes. Step forward. Into the pain. Into the light. Into the version of yourself that refuses to shrink any longer. You will weep. You will ache. But you will walk free. They will remember you. But they will not reach you. Because once you ascend, the door locks behind you. And the next time they speak your name, it will echo against the walls of a realm they no longer have permission to enter. This is justice. This is truth. This is your return.